The long run. Now, it has no specific distance. It is just your longest run of the week. And it's great for working on your endurance and building that aerobic capacity. Now, it needs to form a key part of your training. So today, I'm going to be explaining just how to incorporate it into your week and how to get the most out of your long run. Like I said, has no definitive distance. It is going to vary massively from person to person. Let's take, say, an elite marathon or ultra runner. Well, they're going to be clocking around 100 miles, 160k per week. And their longest run is likely to be somewhere around a marathon distance, no longer. You kind of, as a good rule of thumb, don't want to be doing more than 30% of your total weekly mileage in your long run. So say you're an amateur runner, but you do a lot of running, you take it quite seriously, then maybe you're clocking around 50 miles, 80k a week. In that case, your long run would be around 15, 16 miles or 25k. If, however, you're quite new to running and say your target is a 10k race, well, you might then keep your longest run at around 10 to 12k, but your total weekly mileage would say be 30k. But like I said, it's something to be approached with caution and really to tailor to your needs and also to build up to. It doesn't mean you go straight in at that distance. Let's take a look at the pace of your long run. You've actually got options within it, but the most common and most popular is the long, steady distance, and that needs to be at a conversational pace. It's just a really comfortable run where you can hopefully go for even longer than you had to if need be. And it's around a zone 2 when it comes to the heart rate zones, or 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. And this is just great for building up that base. It's not putting too much stress on your body, but if you are doing a really longer run, like you're training for a marathon, then your body might start to get used to using some fats as well for some of its fuel. And to give you an idea of what pace might be specific to you, then you need to do a bit of maths, but it's around 20 to 30% of your 10k pace, or around 10 to 20% of your marathon pace. And let's move on to the progressive run. It is, as it sounds, you're going to be progressing in your pace throughout the long run. So the long run is still the same distance, and you're going to start like normal at a nice conversational pace. And it's usually towards the second half of the run that you're just going to start to naturally build up that pace, so your conversation maybe gets a little bit shorter, or you can only by the end say sort of a few words at a time. And the pace you build to is up to you, but if you are training for a marathon, it's a good idea to sort of build up to finish at around marathon pace, or if it's a half marathon, closer to that pace. And this is great for just sort of getting you strong, but it's also a run that can help you to sort of feel really good and feel really confident. And then the final one is the workout long run. So this is when you actually put a workout in the middle of your long run. So it's almost like a 2-in-1, because you're still doing your long run, but you're getting a session within that. And that session can be whatever you like. It could be a threshold run, it could be some sort of intervals, hill reps, it doesn't matter. You get a really nice long warm up, and the best bit for me is the warm down afterwards. You're kind of not even realizing you're doing a long run, and it's just completed quite easily. But it has a great crossover to racing. It's basically like running on tired legs at the end of that session. So it's going to help mentally, but physically. It's building that strength endurance. When to include your long run in your week is usually quite an easy decision on its own, because, well, once a week is perfect, and it naturally seems to fall on the weekend for most runners, because that's when you do tend to have a bit more time. You might want to think about how you have your other runs around it. If you are purely doing it as a long, steady run, then it won't hurt to have had a hard session the day before or 2 days before. If, though, you're going to do your long run as a session within it, then you probably don't want to be quite so tired going in, and look at the other side, see how hard that run was, as depending on what you do the next day or the day after. So make sure you consider all of that. And remember, when you're doing your long run, it's not about how far or how fast you can go. You do need to have a plan, and like the rest of your training, you need to build it up gradually. So those distances we've talked about, you want to build up to them, no, not straight away. So depending on where you're starting, have a plan and actually write it down and make sure you're sticking to something around the 10% rule when it comes to increasing that distance. And when you get closer to race day, if you're training for something like a marathon, then you want to be reaching something between 17 and 22 miles, which in kilometers would be between 30 and 35k. Once you've got there, you don't need to push it further than that. If it's your 10k, then once you've reached your 10 or 12k mark, you should be happy, and you might want to back that off ever so slightly before it, just to make sure you're rested. The same for any of it. The last sort of few weeks building in, you want to just drop the distance of that long run so that your legs aren't going to be so fatigued. There's a couple of final things that it's worth considering when it comes to your long run. One of those is fueling. It is the perfect opportunity to try out different types of race day nutrition. So whether you're going to be doing gels, sweets, or it's some sort of fuel through hydration, then you need to experiment, because you need to work out what your stomach's going to be happy with and what your taste buds like. And if it goes wrong in training, that doesn't really matter. It's about getting sure that you've got a plan that when you get to the race, it's going to work. So yeah, experiment and enjoy it. And also, you're going to need to fuel on that longer run anyway. And then why not have fun with a long run? It can get a bit dull if you're building up that distance week to week. So mix up the terrain. You don't need to worry so much about your pace. It's more about effort. So go exploring, go off-road if you like, run with a friend. It's just a really nice way to have a bit of fun with it. And the long run will hopefully be something that you look forward to and you enjoy each week. So yeah, go out there, get running, let us know what you do on your long run, what distance you're up to, and if there's any kind of real tips you've got for motivation, you can do that in the comments section below. And if you've enjoyed it, hit the like button and give us a subscribe.